Ma'am, you laughing?
It's just, sorry, it's nerves.
Right now, a guy's fighting for his life. I need your ID.
Sure, here.
Camera's got it.
Trooper Elmer.
You're law enforcement?
Off duty, heading home. He came
It's
out
a
of
fatal
nowhere.
collision investigation. You understand the seriousness of this? Hold tight.
There is a special level of hell reserved for those who believe their status makes them immune to morality. In the vast library of police misconduct, few things are as viscerally repulsive as the Blue Shield complex. The arrogance of an officer who believes the law is a weapon to wield against others, never a standard to hold themselves to. Today we are dissecting a masterclass in narcissism. Meet Sarah, an off-duty Washington State trooper who didn't just crash her car while drunk. She treated a dying man's final moments as a minor bureaucratic annoyance that was ruining her buzz. The footage opens on a wet gray highway at 5:21 p.m. The atmosphere is heavy with tragedy. Sirens are screaming, rain is hammering the asphalt, and a team of paramedics is fighting a losing battle to save 28-year-old David, a motorcyclist whose body was shattered in the impact. A normal human being in this situation would be on their knees, hyperventilating, praying, or at the very least, looking horrified, but not Sarah. Sarah is leaning against her dented sedan like she's waiting for an Uber outside a nightclub. She isn't frantic. She isn't crying. She is smiling. It is a grotesque, casual smirk that screams utter detachment. Look at her body language, hips cocked, hands in her pockets, head tilted. This isn't shock. This is the posture of someone who is bored. She radiates a toxic level of entitlement, the kind that says, I am the main character, and everyone else is just background noise, Trevim. To her, the dying man 10 feet away isn't a tragedy. He is an inconvenience. Officer Reed, the responding patrolman, approaches her. He expects to find a driver in crisis. Instead, he finds a woman who treats him not as an authority figure, but as a subordinate she has to manage. Ma'am, are you injured? Reed asks. Nirna lets out a little puff of laughter, a sound that curdles the blood given the context. No, I'm good, just a little fender bender. He came out of nowhere. She dismisses a fatal collision as a fender bender. The audacity is breathtaking. As she speaks, the smell of processed alcohol and peppermint gum hits Reed like a physical blow. Her eyes are glazed, swimming in a sea of vodka and arrogance. She admits with zero hesitation that she was just at a bar with her husband. He went his way, I went mine, she says, as if driving separate cars home from a drinking session is a responsible parenting decision. Reed realizes immediately what he is dealing with. I'm going to need you to perform some field sobriety tests to ensure you're safe to drive, he says, his voice hardening. This is where the superiority kicks in. A civilian might panic here. Sarah just rolls her eyes. She looks at Reed with a mixture of pity and disdain, like a teacher dealing with a slow student. I'm not doing that, she says flatly, crossing her arms. I'm not doing your little song and dance. I'm a trooper. Washington State Patrol. You know I'm good. Let's just write it up and get out of the rain. She refuses the eye test. She refuses the walk and turn. She refuses the breathalyzer. Why? Because in her twisted worldview, those tests are for the little people. They are for the civilians she arrests, not for her. She believes her badge is a magical talisman that negates the chemistry of alcohol in her blood. By refusing the tests, she isn't asserting her rights. She is asserting her dominance. She is betting her career that the blue wall of silence is stronger than the evidence of a dead body. She is looking at Officer Reed and effectively saying, I am one of you, therefore I am above this. It is a display of ego so massive it barely fits in the frame of the camera. But as she stands there, smirking in the rain, refusing to blow into the tube, she has no idea that her arrogance is about to be the nail in her coffin. If you believe that justice should be blind and that a badge should never be a shield for a killer, please hit that subscribe button. By joining our community, you help us fight for the victims who can no longer speak for themselves. The most dangerous moment in this encounter wasn't the crash itself. It was the moment Sarah played her ace card. Standing in the rain, reeking of peppermint and vodka, she looked Officer Reed in the eye and effectively said, "We are on the same team." She refused the field sobriety test not because she was innocent, but because she believed the rules were for civilians. She expected Reed to turn off his body cam, call her a cab, and bury the report. But Officer Reed did something that Sarah, in her drunken arrogance, deemed impossible. he did his job. I am not asking you for a favor, Reed says, his voice cutting through the noise of the sirens. I am telling you that based on the smell of intoxicants and your admission to drinking, you are under arrest. Sarah's smirk vanishes instantly, replaced by a mask of pure shock. Excuse me? Turn around and place your hands behind your back. You have got to be kidding me, Sarah snaps, pulling her arm away as Reed reaches for her wrist. You're seriously going to cuff a trooper? Over this? I told you, I'm fine. Don't do this to me. Think about my career. There it is, the naked truth of her narcissism. With a man dying 10 feet away, her primary concern isn't his life or his family. It is her career. She views the handcuffs not as a consequence of her actions, but as a betrayal by a colleague. Reed doesn't debate her. He spins her around, forcing her wrists together. The click of the handcuffs is the sound of her reality shattering. Stop resisting, Reed commands. I'm not resisting. This is ridiculous, she protests, looking at the other officers on scene, begging for an ally. I'm one of you. Call my sergeant. Call my husband. But no one steps in. The other first responders are busy trying to restart David's heart. Sarah is marched to the back of the patrol car, still muttering about professional courtesy and how Reed is overreacting. She slides into the plastic seat, outraged because she refused the breathalyzer, a desperate attempt to hide her intoxication. Reed plays the next card in the legal deck. A blood warrant in Washington state. If a crash involves serious bodily injury or death, officers can obtain a judge's order to forcibly draw blood. Sarah is transported to the hospital, not to check on the man she hit, but to have her veins tapped by a nurse under police supervision. She sits in the hospital room, glaring at Reed, still convinced she can talk her way out of it. You're going to regret this, she sneers. When the labs come back clean, I'm owning you. But the labs did not come back clean. 2 weeks later, the toxicology report arrived. It was a damning piece of paper that stripped away every lie she had told. Sarah's blood alcohol content, BAC, was a staggering 0.21. She wasn't just buzzed. She was nearly 3 times the legal limit. She was legally obliterated. The idea that she thought she could drive, let alone talk her way out of a homicide, wasn't just arrogance. It was delusion. The untouchable trooper was now a documented drunk driver, and the man she hit had just been pronounced dead. The tragic scope of the incident was confirmed before the sun rose the following morning. David, the 28-year-old motorcyclist, succumbed to massive internal injuries in the trauma unit. Despite the frantic efforts of emergency responders, he never regained consciousness. With the pronouncement of his death, the legal landscape shifted instantly. The initial investigation into vehicular assault was closed, and a new file was opened under the grim heading of vehicular homicide. However, the immediate aftermath of the charge did not result in the swift justice many observers expected. While the evidence collected at the scene appeared insurmountable, a blood alcohol concentration of 0.21, nearly 3 times the legal limit, combined with body cam footage displaying a chilling lack of remorse, the machinery of the legal system slowed to a crawl. Contrary to the public perception that a homicide charge leads immediately to a prison cell, the former trooper was granted bail. For the years following the crash, while David's family navigated the crushing reality of grief and the permanence of their loss, the accused remained free. She returned to her home, stripped of her badge but not her liberty, allowed to await trial outside the confines of a corrections facility. This disparity, the victim in a grave and the suspect in her living room, has become a focal point of contention regarding how the justice system treats its own. The strategy of delay. The road to the courtroom has been paved with procedural delays. Defense counsel for the former trooper has utilized a strategy common in high-stakes litigation involving law enforcement: attrition. Over the last few years, motions have been filed challenging the admissibility of the toxicology results in the context of the body cam footage. Arguments have been made that her demeanor at the scene was a physiological response to trauma rather than evidence of intoxication or apathy. These legal maneuvers have successfully pushed the trial date further and further into the future, allowing memories to fade and public outrage to dim. But the clock has finally run out on these tactics. The reckoning. February 2026. According to the latest court dockets, a firm date has been set. The trial is scheduled to commence in February 2026. As we approach this date, the stakes for the Washington state justice system are exceptionally high. This trial represents more than just a determination of guilt for one individual. It is a litmus test for police accountability. The prosecution rests its case on the objective facts, the scientific reality of the toxicology report, and the unassailable visual evidence of the accused's conduct. The defense will likely rely on technicalities and character witnesses to soften the image of the laughing trooper. The coming proceedings will arguably be the most scrutinized in the state's recent history. The jury will be tasked with reconciling the image of a polished defendant in a courtroom with the footage of the smirking, intoxicated woman standing over a dying man on a rainy highway. In conclusion, for David's family, February 2026 cannot come soon enough. They have waited years for the day when the former officer is forced to answer for her actions, not as a colleague expecting professional courtesy, but as a defendant facing the full weight of the law. Until the gavel falls, the case remains a suspended cord, a tragedy without a resolution, and a question of justice that remains, for now, unanswered. Do you believe the years of delay will help her defense? Or is the video evidence too powerful to ignore? Will the jury see a former officer who made a mistake, or a criminal who believed she was above the law? Drop your prediction for the verdict in the comments below.